Blackmagic, their stand, that was, I think was the first morning after 10 minutes, so you literally couldn't walk on their stand, as always, with the amount of product announcements. Every like major manufacturer was kind enough to put on talks throughout the show, so little seminars with DOPs and people of interest that you can go. That's Nikon's one. Miller had Pete DeVries, ACS, on the stand, and he was going through some lighting techniques throughout the day and talking about different projects. Canon had some fantastic speakers on their stand. I was lucky enough to sit through the next one. That's Vincent LaFore. He did a half-hour presentation every day on that New York skyline video that he shot from like 7 Ks up. Really interesting to sit through. Lots of talking about gibbles and things like that they shot out of the side of the helicopter with oxygen masks and things like that at night. So, a bit more of him. Sony had a great session, a great info hall with some sessions, literally for 7 hours a day, with different DOPs every day, talking about different big Hollywood productions shot on F55, F65, which is pretty good to sit in on. Atomos put on a big tent with a 4K theatre inside, had different DOPs sitting in there talking about products and showing off like a little half-hour video, then talking about it with a Q&A session each day. Now, so starting to jump into new products and things like that. So I love how Blackmagic decided to put their stand right next to Red's and put all their advertising on the outside of their booth. So it sits right next to Red and sort of sticks it up them. But Red had some pretty good offerings this year as well. Obviously announcing their new camera sensor, which I allude to right now, the Red Weapon. So yeah, sort of what the Epic should have been. But yeah, that was on display this year, and they had a theatre as well, which you could go in and have a look at lots of demo footage. New product announcements. I'll talk about cameras first, just because they're the coolest. So yeah, I have sound for you, Mylene. Yeah, Sony's new replacement for their PMW 320 camera, which is called a PXW320. So now does 50 megabit 422 record internally, drop-in radio mic receivers, cheap little broadcast camera due out later this year, probably pitched around about the $15,000 to $18,000 sort of price point. Quite nice, interchangeable lens, half-inch, basically an EX3 and a shoulder mount.
Are you going to stock the trolleys? Or?
Sorry?
Yeah, the trolley.
Are you going to stock the trolleys? Or?
Oh yes, yeah.
Looks like a bag.
Every manufacturer has very interesting camera sets, much more interesting than our sort of current playing one at the moment. But there's girls on camera sets, there's blokes on camera sets, there's dancers, there's really colourful things that they've spent lots of money lighting to make their product look as good as possibly. And yeah, I'd love to have something like that here one day. So, Sony's 4K studio camera change. So basically, 4K was everything at the show. You've got pushing forward with 4K, starting with like sport acquisition, and cinema's been going for a little while now. So yeah, their new 4K 4300 camera. With Canon's 4K 230-inch lens. Sorry? So end to end, by the time you put a lens and a studio camera, it's about 250 grand a camera, so you probably won't see too many of those in Adelaide, but that's what they just finished, like the prototypes of that. They just did the Katy Perry show in Melbourne, Sydney with. Argus Scion, they finally just sort of announced some new firmware for, and is now shipping, ready to go for about $12,500. PL mount actually feels really nice in the shoulder, and yeah, getting better every day. So AJ announced something pretty good at the show. If any of you guys got a project that you want to work on, there's now 3 of these are going to be available in Australia for you to test and play with at any given time for a paid job or a project or something like that. So come and ask us and we can arrange that. And it's sort of to get the camera out there so that you know what it feels like, you can try it before you buy it, which is a really good incentive.
Cost?
$12.5 grand for the body. So Blackmagic's got 3 or 4 new cameras this year. They kind of realised that the Ursa is a big doorstop and a really, really heavy camera that no one really wanted to shoot on. So the Ursa Mini is what is basically a direct rip-off of Sony FS7, and works out to be about, by the time you finish putting stuff on, about $2 grand cheaper than the FS7. But native ISO of 800, viewfinder wasn't too bad. Records onto CFast media, has 15 stops of dynamic range and is a 4.6K sensor. A couple more shots of that.
Speed
sorry? It does, don't push me off the top of my head, I think it does 80 frames internally. 60 at 4K. Their micro cinema camera, which is the size of my fist. One has the ability to record onto SD card, and the other one's a 4K one with HDMI out, which works quite nicely with their little monitor, which I actually didn't get a shot of. It's called the Video Assist product. As an external recorder, which works with DSLRs and various different things.
Was that mini camera detachable lens, or?
Yeah, so it's using the same sensor as their current studio cameras, which are something like that, and slightly better than their current Pocket Micro 4/3 mount, so Super 16, and is I think about $1,200 or $1,300 off the top of my head.
Is that the usual DNG and?
Yeah, so it does ProRes internally. One of them has no recording capacity, and the 1080 version just does ProRes and RAW to SD card. And then the other one is 4K HDMI out, and you can go out to various different recorders. So. Canon had their C300 Mark II, which they announced a couple of weeks before the show. Their new 4K cinema camera replacement for the very popular C300 Mark I. Due out September, now does 4K internally, 120 frames a second, very, very good in low light, and has an amazing autofocus system. Bit pricey, it's officially 20 grand at the moment, but will probably drop before September, I would assume. There's the camera, nice things like you've got illuminated buttons now, different battery system, better screen, better viewfinder, comes in PL or EF, and yeah, due out later this year. They announced an XC10, which is a small little camera, once again about the size of sort of 2 of my fists. Fixed lens, 4K internal record, 299. I can't remember if that's US or Australian. Due out in about a month. Does cinema log, and yeah, it will be a nice B-roll crash cam for the C300. They play with the new 5DS and 5DSR still cameras, which are sort of Canon's sort of really brand new large 5D Mark III replacements. Probably terrible for video, but really good for stills, really high resolution, I think 50 megapixels, give or take. So you're getting sort of medium format pixel resolution on a small 35mm frame camera. Panasonic had some great new offerings this year, which is good to hear. With the with their GH4 success, they've released basically slightly better than GH4 in a fixed lens camera and with XLR and ND filters and nice dynamic range, high frame rate, 4K internally. It will be about $6 grand, due out in about 2 months. This was just a prototype. It's been nicknamed the Baboon because it's got a backside. Record sound channel to P2 card and should be a very nice little camera and carbon fibre rather than sort of their plastic general cameras. P2, mini P2, so micro P2. Very cam, they sort of had out in full-fledged, which is really good. Hopefully going to be a good new doco camera. Some great features about this is it'll shoot 4 codecs at once in camera, so you can do proxies and you can do offlines and everything all within the one camera onto the same card. And you can do dailies within it, you can do watermarks within the camera, so you don't have to have a dip on set or like a post-processing house for a lot of things. Comes in either PL 35mm mount or 2/3 inch broadcast mount. Couple of versions of it. Got to play with the Alexa Mini, which is a great little bit of kit. Don't know too much about it, but about 50 grand plus bits. So yeah, lots. Nice little bit of kit though.
They just have a bright tangerine on an Harry cameras.
Yes. It wasn't Harry. Whilst everything was 4K this year, Canon are pushing forward to sort of 8K, and they showed off some sort of 8K glass, which was pretty nice. That's not available yet, so I won't go into detail. 2/3 inch stuff is not dead. A lot of broadcast 2/3 inch lenses from all 4K enabled, which is really nice. We've got Canon's new lens, and Fuji brought out a new 4K 2/3 inch piece of glass as well. Skip through that.
What was the big Canon?
That's just a normal Canon piece of glass. Yeah. I'll go back into this in detail in a minute, but this is an awesome rigging system. I've never seen anything like it for sort of bigger glass on a smaller body. Rigging systems, some really cool toys at the show. So, camera, a couple of Cineflex mounts on a little ATV. That thing's worth more than your house. Yeah, quite nice. Gimbals. So everyone's seen DJI Ronin, which came out a couple of years ago now, or last year, and the Mobi sort of rig. 2 years ago there were half a dozen of these. Now they're on everyone's set under every different name of manufacturer. The one on the screen at the moment is from a company called Lettuce. Really good little product, $24.99 US. Something that we can sell here. Really lightweight, like half the weight of a Ronin. And will hold, is quite scalable, so you can do down to little A7Ss, and you can put an Arri Alexa on it. So, like, not that you're going to be walking around with Alexa like this, but yeah, it was good. And quite well costed, and that's called their Helix model. So,
that's all on the same model, or you've got a bunch of different?
No, same model, and they swap out. You just change if you want to put something bigger than like a C300 on it. It's just a differently geared motor. So, and the quite neat thing about this is if you twist the hand grip on the side, instead of sort of leaning forward like you do with the Ronin, you twist the hand grip, it will tilt up or down. DJI released some remote follow focus system that's due out later this year. Arri Rosette on it, should be quite neat. Don't have any pricing on that. The DJI Ronin Mini, so if you're running around with an SLR, just buy that. Going to be under $2 grand US, due out in a couple of about a month I think now. Same batteries as the old version, but weighs half as much. You put a little control knob on it, which is quite a neat little accessory for moving the camera around as a single person operator.
Is that part of the kit?
No, you've got one of them though. Now the guys at Picture Hire actually have this whole kit on order, so go and see them once it comes in. I'm sure they'll make it quite well known. This is what you've got to compete with. People walking around shooting on iPads in little cage systems, and this is going to become more and more prevalent as much as you hate it. So you can whack a lens on your iPad, and you can now shoot with a GoPro in a cage. So this is sadly the way things you can compete with. Just some grouping bits, nothing new here, but you've got all your major exhibitors out from like Matthews and Panavision with their techno cranes, and like you can go up and play with this stuff. So if you ever aren't working on a $1 billion feature, you can go up and just play with it at the show at any given time. Neat little version of a gimbal, but with a camera on a remote little camera on a little remote control car. What was really cool about this is it works in conjunction with like an Oculus Rift. So an Oculus Rift, for what you guys don't know, is like 3D glasses. So you put your glasses on your head and you're getting a video feed back to you. One person moves the camera, one person moves the car, and where you twist your head, you are actually moving the camera around in the gimbal.
What's the lag on the...
It was like 0.2 of a frame. About 2 frames from end to end, so it wasn't too bad. Really cool little systems. If you want to play with a Russian arm on your beautiful Porsche, that's just sitting outside. It's a nice chase vehicle, probably a few of these destroyed on the last Fast and Furious film. You've got some like rig wheels in the back to move your arm and everything like that. There's monitors galore. Drones have got so big this year, well in the past 2 years, as you probably all know, that they dedicated a whole pavilion to it this year, which is just ridiculous. And everyone got to go in and do demos. You had options from DJI, new company, which will, if DJI weren't so big, would just wipe the floor with the product. Under $1,000, does so much more than a Phantom does, and hopefully coming out here later this year.
Is that GoPro or?
Yeah, so it'll take GoPro. You can control the GoPro from the drone, and it has a live feed out of the controller with a HDMI out going to whatever you want, plus internal recording on the controller as well as on the GoPro. Has all the wireless transmitting built into it for under $1,000.
So that was 3DR?
3DR, yeah. Hopefully we'll have that later this year. A couple of interesting drones. Yeah, this is if you want to be doing really fast sort of tracking. That is put in there. Radio, Pro Audio, some good new announcements there this year. Sennheiser probably standout for me. 2 new products that were pretty neat. So you've got made by Apogee, who makes some really good audio gear. Instead of using a Zoom recorder, you can use this neat little bit of kit. So straight into the lightning connector on your phone, mic, lapel. You don't use up your headphone monitoring jack. And sounds as good as a radio and thank you. That's alright. 2 versions of it. They do it with their Pro mic series and their sort of just general lapel mics from their radio mics. 200 US and 400 US depending on the mic. Brand new radio mic kits, which was awesome, called their AVX series. We'll have these in about a month's time. Transmitter, receiver, rechargeable battery packs, about 6 hours out of each. on a new frequency range, 1.9 gigahertz. You can also jam double A's into them if you want. But 1.9 gigahertz does frequency hopping, so you can take it anywhere in the world except for the US. And there's a different version for the US. The receiver is quite tiny. You can, if you're plugging into a real camera, you can have it just goes straight into the XLR jack. Receiver's tiny, rotates, so if you've got something in the way, pretty neat. Some new mics from Neumann for VO. This thing is insane for like $8.99 US. Should cost a lot more, especially for like a Neumann mic. Some 5.1 recording bits and pieces. Got to have a chat to the Dolby guys. This is really cool for anyone that shoots stills as sort of their predominant job, called the Digital Director. Interfaces with your current iPad. Basically gives you full control over a Nikon or a Canon DSLR through an iPad. Gives you review straight away. Comes out the USB port on the camera. Works in video mode as well. You can control remotely your ISO, your aperture, your shutter. Due out later this year for about $500.
It's a wide connection, is it?
Sorry?
It's a wide connection?
It's a wide connection to the camera, yes. But this is something we'll have on display as soon as it arrives. It was a great bit of kit, made by Manfrotto. So basically, you slide your iPad into, this is the system you buy for $500, and then you've got your iPad. When new iPads come out, you'll be able to just buy the new frame to suit your new iPad, and it'll be a lot cheaper, obviously. Suits iPad Air, iPad Air 2 at the moment. Lenses series, there's so much glass here that I want that I can't afford. Yeah, so these came out about 6 months ago or 7 months ago. These are some new Leicas called the Summicron series. They're getting some pretty good write-ups at the moment. Sorry? Yeah, it's about 130 now, 140 grand now for a set of 6. So Fujinon's 4K box lens, they've got a 230-inch 4K bit of glass. You can go play with any Nikon lens you ever want to play with. Ongino brought out some new glass this year for some lightweight zooms. Lovely French company, nice people, nice models on the set. And they've got, yeah, you'd never sort of you see this combo in real life, but that lens is worth 20 times the price of the camera. Any Canon piece of glass that you want to play with, 2/3 or 35mm or better. That was just a really strange GX3 with much off the end. Shape, new started DSLR rig and group bits in the same sort of market as Red Rock and Zacuto. Really well designed. They made by far the best bit to suit complement the FS7 for the hand grip side of things. Something that hopefully we'll have on display pretty soon. Really good push button release so the camera doesn't fall over when you sort of sit down. Some wire cam stuff. There's actually plenty of wire cam things. Some of you guys might have seen a video that I put up a long time ago about this. I got to play with it. It's a really good cable management system. If you worked in staging, you just buy one. Pelican, for those of you guys that don't know, they make rack systems, which are, maintain their lifetime warranty, which is neat. I didn't actually know they made those rack cases. Basic lighting, down to the software tents, Matrox. The real theme that I noticed at this year's show was live streaming and video over IP and all that sort of thing. So plenty of different devices from Sony, Pana, Canon that will support direct live streaming to the world, JVC. This is perfect for sort of a university application. It's called their Monarch Pro. They've sort of just made some improvements on the last one. Or HDX, they call it. Lots of live streaming. That camera's as big as my fist, and that's live streaming direct to the web to livestream.com for $3.99, available in about a month.
Is that just connecting to Wi-Fi?
No, you chuck that one there is direct to Wi-Fi network, and then they make one that's ever so slightly bigger, which will take a 4G dongle inside and go straight up to the web and go to livestream.com in HD up to 4 megabits a second.
So the prices are
$2.99 Australia, $2.99 US and $5.99 US, so really cheap. And with live stream, there's no content fee for uploading or or viewers. It's they will put ads, and you have to be a live stream member to view the stream. But you could have 1 million viewers, and they're not charging you anything for it. So
that's what sort of mounting?
HDMI
is
in. Yeah. They don't do an SDI version. It's designed sort of cheaper.
So it would work with any DSLR.
Any broadcast camera pretty much has HDMI, unfortunately now.
Yeah, okay.
More of the 4300 studio camera. Sony's f65, not the lightest bit of kit in the thing, but stunning images. Is capable of doing 8K, from sort of frontal lens to end. There's the box that you need to do 8K with it. Not cheap. Some workflow pictures, as I said, more live streaming. Now more than ever, they were doing a lot of both Sony and Canon were showing off a lot of HDR broadcast monitors. So you can see these great dynamic ranges, these beautiful new broadcast monitors and televisions announced from various manufacturers are supporting what your iPhone's been able to do for quite some time, but just show you really good dynamic range rather than sort of sharp images and resolution. By far my favourite standout product of that NAB, which is a bit cool, is Pix have had these little recorders for a number of years now, but they've just announced this new series of monitors. They brought out a Pix E5, a Pix E7, one does 1080, one does 4K, and record down onto M-SATA drives, so relatively cost effective. Their 5-inch is $11.99 US, and their 7-inch 4K version is $17.99 US, so it's cheaper than Atomos's and built like a brick shit house. It's made by sound devices or video devices, due out in about a month's time here, and one of the best monitors that I've seen in a product. They make a little attachment that goes on the bottom which will give you XLR audio with awesome preamps and HDMI and SDI on all of the versions. So.
Will that be capable of raw like the Odyssey series?
Yep, they haven't got all full codec support announced yet, but they'll get stuff approved for that. So, that made as much as an engine, right? Less.
Because the 240 weight a ton.
Yeah, still takes MPF 970 batteries or 770s on the back.
Is it just buttons or is it touchscreen?
I don't recall. I did a video review on that, which I'll pop up on the web on the weekend when I get some internet. 5 DSR, just some beautiful, stunning images. So that's, what did I say, 108 photos stitched together, 2.1 gigapixels. So printed out really nicely. My little camera didn't really do that justice, but you could stand a centimetre away from it and look at people's windows. Some nice new broadcast switches and mixers. This was a really neat one for about 11 grand US. Does like 20 channels of up to 4K. Some new wireless transmitters, which I'm hoping to take on in the next couple of weeks. Like $12.99 US, does up to 1 kilometre with minimal lag, HD SDI, HDMI, and designed for like helicopters, but they're just waiting. It works on a 5.8 gigahertz bandwidth, so you don't really need too much licensing for it. Hope to see more about that soon, so that's those. What else? That's just some guy with too much kit on his camera. Small HD had some new little monitors which also work as EVFs, due out pretty soon. Not the cheapest thing, but nice. Sorry?
Like compared to their others?
Better. Don't know how the reliability is, but yeah, pictures look good. It almost looked like an iPhone 5 screen built into it, just with a matte finish across it. So got to play with the digital Bolex. I don't know if anyone ever wants to shoot on it, but it's cool. Wooden cameras, accessories, pretty much everything. As they say, wooden camera, and then they build the stuff around it. Won't be too much longer, I'll just quickly skim through this. Small little portable sliders, some really cool stand-up pole cams. This is like a 17-inch tough tablet, 4K resolution, has HDMI in on the side, so you can use it as an on-set 4K monitor, battery powered. You can zoom in, it's going to have peaking and focus and everything. Should be pretty neat. It was announced 2 years ago when I was there, but didn't have HDMI in, and yeah, it was sort of just a tablet PC, but now they've sort of really worked out where it's going to go. More ARRI lights than you can poke a stick at. Satellites, I feel sorry for these guys. No one makes an stand. Yeah, I don't know who buys this stuff. It'd be a miserable job. But they probably have to sell one a year. If you ever do any vision switching, this new little bit of kit will be about just shy of $2,000 when it comes out here. Is a instant replay unit, so it's constantly buffering the last 30 seconds of what you did. You run it into one of your SDI inputs on your mixer, run your camera through it before it gets there, and you can control it with the jog shutter wheel, and you just get instant replay and instant playback. And you can set in and out points and do slow-mo with it for 1080 work, which is pretty neat. Yep, there we go, went there for lunch. Livestream released a little hardware control service for their live stream units for $7.99 or $8.99, which is just a good little switcher rather than using the touch screen or their big $6,000 Surface. Some little mini converters that we'll probably grab over here that'll be slightly better built than a Blackmagic and a better quality transfer from Osprey. Atomos had some cool new things on their stand, namely their power station, which takes two Sony MPF 970 batteries on the back of it, has regulated voltages out, due out pretty soon. Supports hot swapping of the batteries, but you can power I think 4 or 5 devices off of it, like monitors and remote follow focuses. You can get adapters to run cameras off of it. Very neat little product, can't remember the price. Ninja Star with a GoPro, recording RAW out of a GoPro. The girls on the stand. Their little underwater housing for the Shogun with some wet connectors on it, so if you ever did want to sort of review 4K and record 4K underwater, perfect. Our good friends at Miller, good Australian presence over there, brought out their new Cinema 60 line. They announced it a little while ago, but they hadn't shown it off too much. Sorry, Cinema 70, so 150mm bowl, very much in competition with an O'Connor for $10,000 less, and lots of different accessories for it. So little short hand grips that you can use instead of pan handles, camera assistant sort of mounts off the front, so you can put whatever you see off there, monitors and bits and pieces. New tri-pack cases for all their tripods available now. For those of you who don't know, there's so much that goes inside of a Miller fluid head tripod compared to sort of a Manfrotto or something like that, with all the clutch plates and things like that. Hoping to have one of those down here pretty soon. Some new stuff from Red Rock, where you've got little viewfinders that go off the back with a little sort of Super 16, Super 8 handle off the top. Really cool little bit of kit. Cages, due out pretty soon. You can get them here. Some new stuff from Zacuto. That EVF, electronic viewfinder, it's called the Gradical. It's probably one of the best viewfinders I've ever seen. There's some really interesting write-ups on the web from some really high-end DOPs that think it's as good as an Alexa viewfinder. It's available now. I can't remember the price, but it's under $5 grand.
What's that thing hanging up the front?
This is yeah, what brings me next. So this is it's a hand grip, but also works as a follow focus. So this is the follow focus. So you can have in your hand, and then with your fingers you can control the follow focus, and it works really nicely. So you never have to take your hand off to go up to the follow focus.
Did you see didn't they have another version as well?
Of the what?
The Gradical?
I only saw one version there.
They've got a mini one.
Okay, didn't see it. But yeah, so this is their hand grip system with the follow focus. So
what's that going for there?
The what?
The follow focus.
Can't recall right now, sorry. But we get Zacuto bits and pieces in. The exchange rate's not flash at the moment, but we can still get it. So yeah, he's able to adjust his focus without taking his hands off the camera. It's an FS7 with some bits rigged off of it. Guys from Syrup, so a New Zealand company who do some little timeroid bits and kit, which were quite nice. They do like a wire cam and lots of stuff that we've got access to now. As I was saying before, this VR or like camera system setup where they do like 360 views, I've sold a few of them already, is getting really popular with like the Oculus Rift market. Zeiss just announced something. If you can't afford one of those, you make your own out of cardboard. From Google for $30 with some lenses and a cardboard kit. And you stick your smartphone in the front.
And it works pretty well.
This is a kind of like an equivalent to an Easy Rig, but with like Terminator arms and stuff like that. And I don't know how you fit through a door. More convergent design with their Odyssey. Didn't bring out anything new, but they just announced bucket loads of codec support for Archer and Red and Sony and Canon. It now does every kind of codec known to man. We've got one here on display if you ever want to check it out. It's a beautiful monitor and does great codec support, great frame rate support. Teradek brought out the equivalent, or they brought out a new version of their Video, which is exactly the same as that live stream unit that I showed before. However, it has the ability to go to any streaming site, so like YouTube or Ustream or Livestream, rather than Livestream's unit where they make their money is they sell you the box. So this box is $1,000, but it goes everywhere rather than just one ISP.
How much is that on?
300 and 500. Film cameras still exist at the show, so that was the only one I found.
Was it attached to a boat?
No, the lens is worth a bit. You can stand anywhere on anyone's stand and play with half a dozen cameras and lenses at any given time, which is cool. Canon's new 4K reference monitor, about 40 grand. You won't see one for a while. Mylene, there's some new electro stuff, tiny little transmitters from them. Got to see their stand. Not sure what that this was really cool from a data management point of view. On set, it takes either a CF or an SD card, and they're going to bring out an attachment for SYS and XQD. You can dump. You have to have a computer connected, but you can dump straight to the drives, so you get really fast transfer. You're not going through the computer. This one obviously an award at the show for data transfer. It can do rate 0 or rate 1, but due out later this year from Promise.
Does it say 3.5?
Do 4K as well?
It will do anything that you feed to it. It takes 3.5-inch drives, so you can these are separate. So there's 2 3.5-inch drives in the bottom of it, or you can put like SSD attachments and things in there. So
Can you also plug in like portables into it or something?
no,
No.
you do that through your computer and you get on deck. Some expansion chassis for your Mac Pro, so you put real cards into it. That's been announced before from Sonnet and is now apparently going to ship pretty soon as a little Thunderbolt hub that has a SATA and Firewire and USB 3 and DVD drive, all with one Thunderbolt cable. They've announced that for the past 4 years running and never shipped it, and apparently shipping now.
What's the price then?
I think about $700. So, that was a really nice video. I just saw really good curve. Blackmagic announced some more mini converters. I'll be really quick now because dinner's probably here. And for those of you guys that don't know, Blackmagic acquired Teranex, a company that made probably the best standard converters about 2 or 3 years ago. And these things used to be $100 grand. And they do the best like up-down cross converters, everything that you could possibly want for $4.95 US now. This is a new product from them. Not sure exactly when it's shipping. They said July, but what year is the next question. But yeah, that will be, if you want a good quality mini converter, they're not small, they're designed for racks. But if you want a good quality convert or cross convert, it will do better than you can do with software. Left that in. Left this in. One of the best monitors I've ever seen from that does 4K. They brought out a 24 and a 31-inch. I'm lucky enough to have the 31-inch 4K ISO monitor behind us. About a quarter of the price of a Sony broadcast monitor or of a Canon broadcast monitor. So $6 grand for the 30-inch and $4 grand, we're talking Australian here, for the 24-inch. And yeah, I've got some 4K content running on that over there. You'll see them jumping into the video market a lot more. Some portable little SSD drives with phenomenal speeds, bigger lights than you can probably look at.
I do.
I got to play mini golf on someone's set just to get me on, and that was good fun. Moving sheep and things like that. So. There's a whole Chinese section at the show, mostly not the best built things you'll see, but cheap. I found a slider there that was like $80, and it was not terrible. Yeah, it was $80. So Free Fly, Out in Force, the guys that obviously invented Mobi 2 years ago, now had one of the biggest stands there with lots of different little bits of kit. You can buy books and t-shirts and show that you work in the film industry at the show. Some smaller versions of that tough pad that I showed you before, not 4K, but work as nice little monitors and the equivalent of a better iPad on set. Really out of focus photo of a Varicam in 2 parts. And I'll skip over that. Jurassic Park camera set. These are some more of those little monitors that I saw talking about before. LED lights. Australian company that do some outdoor housings called Photo Sentinel, something that we've been able to get hold of for a little while now. Awesome for doing on-site building and remote build things that you can put small DSLR in, support a 4G dongle or a 3G dongle in the back of it, and it just sends your photos up to the web. You can remote control the camera. It's got a solar panel on it, starting at around about $5 grand. And if you bought one, you pay it off if you had a job in one job, pretty much. More little drones, gripping gear, PZ heads, that. some new lights from Dito, which I've got one of them up there. Some new panel lights from them. Really, I got to meet Mr. Dito. He talks really slowly. German guy, but nice. And knew more than I would ever learn in my life about lighting. So.
Joe, you were saying he was nice despite the fact that he was German?
No, yeah, just really nice but slow. I had somewhere to be and I had to, cut him off. Video Blocks just made a stand there. For those of you guys who don't know, they do stock footage. It's $100 a year if you buy it when it's on a special, and you can get like 4K content, whatever you like. Download as much of it, use it any corporate you ever want. You can sell stuff to them. Check it out. I use it all the time for jobs.
Sell those pants.
Yes. Instead of LTO, alright, we had dinner. Kim's sucking it down now, so I've got like 5 slides to go. One quick thing, so instead of LTO, Sony are encouraging you to use like optical disc for archiving. Works out to be about the same price as LTO. I had a really interesting conversation on the site. This is like it's like an XD cam disc, but they do 600 gig and 1.5 terabytes, and it's like a bunch of discs stacked together. You put in a reader. This is their big version of it, which is their tape library equivalent. Translation didn't come across too well from the Japanese side of things, so they call it a what do they call it? It's a petasan or a petabyte, so like 1,000 terabytes. I was chatting to the Japanese engineer, and over there it was originally called a pedophile. Didn't really translate too well, so they had to change it. I think a few of them probably got some branding like that out there. Skipping through that, 4K. This complete truck was a 4K OB truck, end to end. I think that's about it that I need to actually cover. GoPro had some cool stuff on their stand. Codex vaults, time code boxes. You'd be miserable if you had to sell those every day. That's a radio antenna. What else? 4K projectors. That's about that. Wacom's 4K tablet, touch, nice control. Lots of sites with virtual studios that you can see at the top. There you go. That's NAB. That's me leaving. Very good.